Hi, welcome back to the channel. Last time I kind of did an introduction to motor yachts in general. And today what I thought I'd do is imagine this is your first night. You've had your first night on board. What's life like when you're actually living on the boat? Let's say I've just gotten up in the morning. The first thing I probably do is go use the bathroom. So let's go in there and look. Okay, so, in the first video in this series, we talked about, what's similar. Now, the toilet is one of the things that's pretty different on a boat. Why is it different? We have a limited amount of water generally, and we have a limited amount of storage for the toilet water. So the toilets are designed differently so that when you do go to the Bahamas and you want to be anchored out for 2 weeks, you have the capability to do that without having to go to shore or pump out or anything. So the toilets are necessarily smaller. The toilets use water much more efficiently. So when you get up in the morning and you look at the toilet, you're going to see it's got very little water in it. Now you have a button here where I can manually put more water in the toilet like it would be in your house. The reason that toilet doesn't have much water is, first of all, we don't want to waste the water. And if the boat were moving around a little bit, I wouldn't want the water sloshing around on the floor. So the toilets are designed to have very little water in them. If you're just going to pee, you can flush it and it's fine. But the more toilet paper you add, the more water you needed in the bowl as well. So if you tend to use a toilet paper and it would stay dry for more than a few seconds in the bowl, you would add water before you flushed it. Your goal is to not ever want to flush a big ball of dry toilet paper that will clog the toilet. You're supposed to use marine toilet paper, but it's awful. I mean, you can use it, and some people insist on using it. I have found that you can buy the cheap stuff you wouldn't normally buy at Publix at your food store, and it's kind of single ply or dual ply, but it's relatively thin toilet paper, but this is twice as good as the true marine toilet paper. The toilets seem to be fine. The key, again, is you don't want to flush dry toilet paper. It just jams everything up. The actual hole beyond the toilet and the hoses and everything are much smaller than in your house. So these toilets are not capable of handling as much stuff in the toilet as you would in your home. So you may have to flush the toilet twice. You may want to use a little bit less toilet paper and flush it and then flush it again. So generally it works pretty normally. There's a button you hit instead of a lever, and when you hit the button, it goes away. So pretty normal otherwise. And that goes into a tank. Now in this boat, it holds 150 gallons. How long does that last? If it's 2 of you on the boat, that's probably going to last more than a week. If you've got 2 grandchildren and your kids and there's 6 of you on the boat, then it's going to fill up much faster. Another thing I'll say about all this is most cruisers I talk to, including myself, if I'm in a nice marina that has kind of that health club feel where the facilities landside are nice, I may get up in the middle of the night and use this head. But if I get up at 6:30 in the morning, I will often choose to walk up to the main facility on land. and use that toilet. And I know when my wife wants to take a long hot shower and it's hot out and we don't want to steam up the boat and it's a really nice marina, she'll go up there as well and take her shower and take her time. So it really depends on where you are. But I think in these higher end motor yachts, you're going to be at facilities that are surprisingly nice. They're really like mini resorts. And of course, the toilet and shower work great here, just like they do at home. But it is nice in a small space to use the landside facilities as well. After that, I'm going to use my sink and brush my teeth and wash my face and do all the normal stuff I would do just like at home. After that, we're going to go upstairs. Let's go upstairs, and I want to show you a couple things I like to do first thing in the morning. Okay, when I start my day, I like to come up here to the pilot house, which is where you can monitor all the systems. And one of the things I like to keep track of every day, and I like to do it in the morning just because I have a routine, one of the tanks I can look at is my freshwater tank. So if you look right here, you'll see that I have a 320 gallon tank, and right now I have 114 gallons. And what I'd like you guys to do in the beginning when you're still learning is maybe have a sheet of paper and a pen here and just write down every morning how much water there is. And you'll very quickly learn, given your daily routine, that my water normally lasts me 5 days or whatever. I normally use 40 gallons a day. You'll very quickly establish what life on board looks like for your family. Also on here, I have the ability to monitor the holding tank. And in this boat, I carry 110 gallons maximum, and I have 9 gallons. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, if I'm sitting in the marina, they probably have a weekly schedule for your dock. And every Wednesday or every Thursday or whatever it is, they will come and they'll automatically pump this out. But it's a very good habit for you to monitor this holding tank to know, am I a third full, am I half full, am I almost full? And just know that you're going to have to deal with it at some point. Again, I want you to find the trend for lifestyle of your family. Do I only fill this halfway in 7 days? What's my normal routine? So you need to know what normal is for you guys. This light right here, and all boats are a little bit different, but this is my inverter panel. And I don't want you to focus on all the things the inverter does in this video. But this says ACN, and this little light tells me that the boat is plugged in properly and the electricity is selected properly on the panel and it's coming all the way to here and it's charging my batteries, and that means that the dock voltage is making it all the way to this 24 volt light. So just by looking at that one light, I know a lot. I know that my batteries are being charged, I have AC, that means my refrigerators are running fine, everything's good. So right here, I've established I know the water, I know the holding tank, and I know I have electricity coming in the main systems of the boat. The next thing I like to do in the morning, of course, maybe you'll start the coffee pot, get dressed a little bit, and I just like to walk around the deck real quickly. There are tides in most areas you're going to go cruising, and tides mean that the boat's going to go up and down relative to the dock, depending on the marina. And in the morning, I just like to look around on the outside and make sure that those big fenders that are keeping me from scraping up against a pole or something are still in the right place. Let's go look at that. So this right here is called a boat fender, and this is what keeps the boat from bumping into the dock. If you hear strange noises at night that you didn't hear earlier in the day, maybe one of these is in the wrong place now, and you're hearing the boat rubbing up against the wood pole. So in the morning, I just like to walk around the deck and make sure everything's about where it was when I went to bed, and just look at the lines and make sure things are tidy. And after that, I'll go inside, make coffee, make breakfast. Let's go into the galley next. Okay, in your house, you have a circuit breaker panel, and there's one for the oven, and there's one for the outlets, and there's one for the cooktop, it's electric cooktop, and you just leave them on all the time. People are home most of the time. In a house, you don't worry about these things. But in a boat, we worry a little bit more. We may leave the boat unattended for longer lengths of time. The boat gets bounced and shaken around more. So we tend to turn stuff off more often when we're not using it. Now, if you're on the boat for 2 weeks and you're actively cooking and doing things, then you're going to leave those breakers on all the time, just like you would at home. But when you first get to the boat, you're probably going to have the oven breaker turned off. You're probably going to have the cooktop breaker turned off, and that's just a good safety thing. It's not a hard thing to turn on. Let me just show you how that works. Okay, so we're going to look at the panel now, and things are really well labeled. It's really easy to figure this out. Come on over here and let me show you. So let's say I wanted to make breakfast right now. I would turn on the cooktop. And maybe you do this when you first get to the boat and you leave this on for 2 weeks, like I said. Hot water heater's probably on from the night before because you took a shower. But again, I don't want to leave the hot water heater on for 3 weeks while I'm not on the boat. So when you leave the boat for this trip, I'm going to turn the hot water heater off. Water maker we'll talk about later. Washer and dryer, I recommend that this only be on when you're going to do laundry. Again, the washer has timers in it and valves and just things that can go wrong. So I like to really leave that off. Here's a Flybridge barbecue. Here's my oven. So maybe I'm cooking and going to do the oven. So I just turn on my oven. And let's turn on my Galley dishwasher. I have a vacuum system on the boat. This boat has a full vacuum system. And Galley range hood. This is a neat one too. I'll show you this as well. There's my Galley microwave. Here's my Galley disposal. And I have refrigerators. I have a Flybridge refrigerator. This boat has an instant hot water, so you can't do this wrong. So just turn on what you think you're going to use while you're on the boat. I want to show you something kind of neat up here. Just like at home, you would have a range hood of some type to get the smells out. The boat has the same thing. So you can turn on a light, turn on a fan, and you probably can't hear that, but that's actually sucking out of the boat just like in your house. So again, you cooking bacon and eggs, it's sucking out the smells, sucking out the steam, just like you would at home. Pretty neat system. Garbage disposal. So not all boats have a garbage disposal, and you have to design the boat specifically to do that. In this case, in most Marlows, the garbage disposal has a separate pipe just for this sink that goes overboard, so that any chopped up carrots and stuff doesn't clog up any tanks or hoses in other places. Dishwasher works just like a normal dishwasher would at home. Because the space is limited, we chose to use a little bit of a smaller dishwasher a lot of the time. This is a single drawer, which is about half the height of the full height dishwasher you would have at home. But it works the same way. Actually, these Fisher Paykel's are great. I've seen them 15 years old, still working perfect. We talked about refrigerators and freezers before, but I'll just mention it again. These drawer styles are pretty popular. Some boats have a full upright, but again, they work just like at home. This one has an ice maker in this drawer, so they can be all refrigerator, half freezer, and the freezer side can also have an ice maker. Coffee pot plugs into the normal outlet just like at home. So that's kind of my daily plan. Now, at the end of the day, I kind of do the reverse. I check my fenders again. I will often turn off stuff I know I'm done using. If I only use the cooktop, once in a while, there's no reason to leave it on all the time. Make sure my hot water heater's on. Make sure I have enough water in the water tank to take my nighttime shower, to do a load of laundry. And that's another thing I'd like you to do is when you're gonna do laundry and things in the beginning, write down how many gallons it says it has before you do a load and how many gallons you had after you did a load. And now you know, I need 25 gallons of water to do a load of laundry or whatever it is. So really what I'm saying is here in the beginning, I want you to come up with a routine and a pattern and start learning how life is on the boat for you and your family. And last but not least, let's talk about air conditioning and heat. It's probably the number one phone call I get. The air conditioning systems on a boat are great. They crank out the AC, but they can be a little fickle because sometimes the electricity at the dock isn't great. It uses seawater for cooling and stuff can grow in that. So the AC in a boat is much higher maintenance than you're used to in your house. So you have to pay more attention to it. If the boat is warm, there's a couple things you can do without being an AC tech. And let me just show you a couple things real quick. So this is a marine thermostat. There are quite a few varieties of these. Unlike your house, instead of having one for the upstairs and one for the downstairs, there's one of these for every room. So I can make very nice adjustments in every area of the boat. This is telling me it's set to 76, and I'm just pushing. This says 54, and that says loop temperature. 53, that is how cold the water is going around the boat in a loop. If you've ever lived up north with water baseboard heat, where there's a boiler in the basement and there's hot water and radiators, this is a similar technology where instead of hot water going around the boat with radiators, I have cold water going around the boat with radiators. So whether you're in your master bedroom or here in the salon, you can walk up to any thermostat and see that that loop is 53 degrees. Now, if that air conditioner thing that's in the engine room wasn't working right, that would be 100, and it'd be hot in here. Most of the time, I find that I can just turn the air conditioning off and back on, and it kind of resets itself. Doesn't mean there's not a problem, but very often I can just reset it, and I'll show you those details in a later AC video. Sometimes this panel won't show anything at all, and that means you've lost dock power for the air conditioning. So most of these boats are set up so that everything except the air conditioning has one extension cord, and the air conditioning has its own. So quite often you can have power like I showed you for the house, but the AC dock breaker has tripped in some way, and that can happen either out of the power pole or it can happen in the boat. The air conditioning draws more electricity than everything else here in Florida anyway. And this same system creates heat. So if you're up in Maine in the summer, this has a setting to make it heat the water and heat the boat instead of air condition the boat. Well, I hope all that helps, and I've been getting some pretty good feedback on these subjects from people that are new at this, and I think it's one of the most difficult thing in this industry is everyone kind of assumes you've already had a bunch of boats, and I'm going to continue to make this series and take you through more and more detail. Feel free to send me questions. Love to engage with you guys, and call me anytime. Bye.